Hey everyone, ready to dive into resilience with us today?
Always ready for a good deep dive.
We've got this document. It's simply titled Building Resilience.pdf.
Straightforward title.
But, looks can be deceiving.
Oh, absolutely.
This thing is packed with some seriously insightful stuff about building resilience.
And that's really what we're going for today.
Not just defining what resilience is,
Right.
but giving you the tools to actually use it.
Exactly. Make it practical, make it applicable to your own life. That's the goal.
And one thing that jumped out at me right away was this document. It just throws out that whole idea of you're either born resilient or you're not.
Yeah, I loved that about this document.
It's like, okay, phew.
No more nature versus nurture debate on that one.
Right.
Resilience is a skill. It's something you can build, like learning a language or an instrument.
Okay, so no magic resilience gene.
Yep.
I like that. But then where do we even begin?
Well, they have this great analogy in the document. Think of it like building a house, right? You need a good foundation before you start adding floors.
Makes sense.
And that's where the 3 pillars come in.
3 pillars, though.
3 pillars of resilience: growth mindset, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness.
All right, let's start with growth mindset.
Yeah.
I hear this term everywhere,
Oh, it's a buzzword for sure.
but I'm not always sure what it means practically.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
But at its core, it's actually a very simple idea. Growth mindset is the belief that your abilities, your intelligence, your talents, they're not fixed. They can be developed through effort, through learning, through challenges.
So it's less about saying, I'm just not good at this,
Exactly.
and more about, I'm going to keep practicing, keep learning.
That's the spirit of growth mindset.
I can see how that shift in thinking would change how you approach setbacks.
Oh, absolutely. And there's actually research to back this up. The document cites a study where students who were taught about growth mindset, they actually showed significant improvement in their academic performance compared to students who weren't.
That's amazing. All right, next up, emotional intelligence.
Another one of those buzzwords.
Another buzzword. I feel like I kind of get it, but I don't really get it.
It's more than just being in touch with your feelings. It's about recognizing your emotions,
Okay.
understanding them, managing them effectively, and importantly, being able to see and understand the emotions of others.
So it's like having an emotional radar.
I like that, yeah. Helps you navigate those tricky social situations.
So someone with high emotional intelligence, it's not that they never get angry or upset. It's that they can recognize, okay, I'm feeling this way and this is why.
Precisely. They understand the root of their emotions, and then they can choose how to respond constructively.
That makes a lot more sense.
The document actually gives this great example. There was a CEO who used his emotional intelligence to navigate a company crisis.
Oh, wow.
He stayed calm, he acknowledged everyone's fears, and he made level-headed decisions.
That's a pretty powerful example. Okay, let's move on to the last pillar. Self-awareness.
The cornerstone.
Yeah, it feels like a prerequisite to me for everything else.
It really is. If you don't understand your own strengths and weaknesses, your values, what triggers you,
Right.
you're kind of going in blind. Self-awareness is about knowing yourself inside and out.
The document mentioned journaling as a tool for self-awareness. Did you journal?
I do. It's been a game changer for me.
Do you have any tips?
Don't worry about making it sound perfect.
Oh, go on.
It's more about honest reflection.
Yeah.
And start small. Even 5 minutes a day can be really powerful.
And it also mentioned getting feedback from others.
Yes.
I can imagine that's helpful, but also kind of scary.
It can be tough to hear constructive criticism, but it can be so valuable.
To get that outside perspective.
Exactly. Choose people you trust who'll be honest but supportive.
Okay, so we've got these 3 pillars. Growth mindset, emotional intelligence, self-awareness. They're like the foundation for our resilience house.
A strong foundation.
Yeah.
And in the next part, we'll talk about the actual building process,
How to use these pillars to actually bounce back from setbacks.
the practical strategies.
That's where things get really interesting. Welcome back. Last time we were talking about those 3 pillars, growth mindset, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness.
The foundation of resilience.
Yeah, it was pretty eye-opening stuff.
It is. But now we get to the fun part.
Oh, okay, the fun part.
How to actually bounce back from setbacks.
Because let's face it, challenges are a part of life.
Absolutely, you can't avoid them.
It's not about avoiding them, but navigating them in a way that helps us grow from them.
Exactly, become even stronger. And this part of Building Resilience.pdf dives right into the practical strategies. Some of these really resonated with me.
Okay, well, don't keep me in suspense. Tell me about them.
The first one is all about embracing change and uncertainty.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I know, right?
As humans, we just crave predictability. We like to know what's coming next.
We like to be in control. But the truth is, change is the only constant.
You're telling me, I like to have a plan, you know? I like to stick to the plan.
Structure is good, but what does the document say?
Yeah.
It says we need to reframe our perspective. Instead of seeing change as a threat, what if we saw it as an opportunity?
Okay, I can see that, the opportunity side of things. But is it okay to still feel that resistance to change? Like sometimes I just don't want things to change.
Oh, absolutely. It's important to acknowledge those feelings, don't deny them. But once you've processed them, try asking yourself, what new possibilities might this change bring? Sometimes a closed door forces you to find a new path.
Find a new path. I like that. It's about finding that silver lining even when it's hard.
Exactly. And to build that adaptability muscle, they have this tip.
Okay, what is it?
Step out of your comfort zone regularly, even in small ways.
I can do small.
Exactly. Try a new hobby, a new project at work. Talk to someone you wouldn't normally talk to. Anything to shake things up a bit.
I like that. Building that tolerance for uncertainty little by little. Okay, what else? What's next?
Let's talk about mental toughness.
Ooh, mental toughness.
Sounds intense, right? But it's a valuable skill.
I usually think about it in the context of athletes or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I guess we all need it to some degree. So what does it actually mean to be mentally tough?
It's about cultivating that inner strength, to stay focused, to stay motivated, to stay resilient even when you're facing obstacles, even when you fail.
That sounds, it sounds hard. How do you even start to build that kind of toughness?
Well, the document emphasizes purpose.
Purpose.
Knowing your why you're doing what you're doing, that can fuel your mental toughness.
Because when things get tough, you can remember why you're doing it in the first place.
Exactly. It gives you a reason to push through. And they have this practical tip. Break down those big goals into smaller steps.
Oh, I like that.
Celebrate those smaller wins along the way.
Yeah, it's easier to stay motivated that way.
Keeps the momentum going.
Yeah.
Now, the last strategy for bouncing back, they call it effective problem solving.
Problem solving. Ugh. I struggle with that when I overthink everything.
A lot of people do. But the document, it emphasizes that problem solving is a skill.
Okay.
You can learn it, you can get better at it, and they break it down into these steps.
Okay, tell me about the steps.
First, define the problem clearly. What exactly are you dealing with? Then brainstorm solutions. No idea is too crazy at this stage.
I like that. No judgment.
Exactly. Just get all the ideas out there. Then you evaluate the options. What are the pros and cons? Can you actually do this? What might happen?
So be strategic about it.
Think it through. Don't just jump into the first solution that pops into your head. Then take action. Actually do something.
That's sometimes the hardest part, taking action.
It can be. But then, the final step, and this one's important, reflect on the outcome. Did it work? What could you have done differently? What did you learn?
Reflect. That's a step I often skip. But you're right, it's so important to learn from the experience.
Each problem you solve, each setback you overcome, it adds to your resilience toolbox.
I like that analogy.
You're better equipped to handle whatever comes next. So we've gone from those foundational pillars to some really practical strategies for bouncing back. But this document, it goes even deeper.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. The next section talks about how to find strength in challenges.
Wait, what?
It's about seeing adversity not just as something to endure, but as a potential source of growth and opportunity.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
That's what we'll talk about in part 3.
Finding strength in challenges.
Oh,
Can't wait. All right, we're back for the final part of our resilience deep dive.
the grand finale.
I feel like we've already uncovered so much.
We have those foundational pillars, the bouncing back strategies.
It's been a lot. But this last part of the document, buildingresilience.pdf, it's talking about the long game,
Making resilience a part of who you are.
not just something you use when things get tough.
Exactly. It's about sustainable resilience, making it a way of life.
That sounds ambitious.
It is, but the document actually lays out a plan.
Oh, okay. Like a step-by-step.
Yeah, they call it developing a resilience plan.
A resilience plan. Sounds kind of formal.
It does. But it's actually very practical. And the first step is all about self-reflection.
Looking inward.
Knowing yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, even your values.
So Kind of like a personal SWOT analysis, but for resilience.
I like that, exactly. And once you have that clear picture of yourself, then you set some goals.
Resilience goals.
Specific resilience building goals. Don't just say, I want to be more resilient. Think about what that actually looks like in your life.
So maybe I'm going to practice mindfulness for 10 minutes every day, or I'm going to call a friend for support once a week.
Perfect examples. Make those goals actionable, something you can measure, and then break them down even further into smaller steps.
To make them feel less overwhelming.
Right. But life happens, right? What about those unexpected challenges that come out of nowhere?
The curveballs.
That's where the proactive part of the plan comes in. The document suggests thinking about potential challenges you might face in the future.
Planning for the what-ifs.
Exactly. And think about how you'll handle them.
So if this happens, then I'll do this.
Exactly. It could be as simple as knowing who to call when you need help, or having a stress management technique, works for you.
It's like having an emergency kit for your mental health.
I love that analogy. And remember, this resilience plan, it's not set in stone. Life changes, so your plan should too.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got our plan. But the document also talks about continuous learning and adaptation.
Lifelong learning.
I have to admit, the thought of constantly learning new things, it can feel exhausting.
I get it. But think about it this way. Resilience is about growth. It's about constantly evolving and adapting.
So you need to keep learning to keep growing.
Right. And the best way to learn is to be curious. Ask questions. Be open to new experiences.
Embrace that beginner's mindset.
Yes. And you know what else helps with learning?
What?
Feedback.
Ugh, feedback. Not my favorite.
I know it can be tough, especially if it's critical. But the document encourages us to change how we view feedback.
Instead of seeing it as a personal attack,
See it as information. Information that can help you grow.
take the emotion out of it.
And then the final piece of this long-term resilience building.
Here's more.
One last piece. Building a resilient future.
So we've gone from personal resilience to building a resilient future. That's a big jump.
It is. But think about it. What does that look like? It could be staying informed about issues that impact your community, supporting causes you care about, volunteering, mentoring,
Using your resilience to create positive change.
paying it forward. And the document talks about thinking about your legacy. What impact do you want to have on the world?
Wow, that's a lot to think about. I feel like we've been on this incredible journey with this document.
We have. From those foundational pillars all the way to building a resilient future, it's been inspiring, it's been challenging, but it's been worth it.
What stands out to you the most from everything we've talked about?
I think for me, the biggest takeaway is that resilience isn't about being invincible. It's not about never struggling or failing. It's about having the skills and the mindset to navigate those challenges, to learn from them, to even find opportunities within them.
That's beautifully said. And to everyone listening, as you go about your day today, ask yourself this. What's one small step you can take to build your own resilience? It could be anything. Practicing gratitude, reaching out to a friend, taking some time for self-care, or even just reflecting on what you learned from this deep dive with us.
Every step counts, no matter how small.
And we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep. Until next time.